welcome to XReality podcast. I'm the host, Dominic Wu, and beside me is the guest, Huan Yuan.
Joaquín, yeah.
Joaquín. Joaquín, yeah. Cool. Hi, Joaquín. Could you share a little bit about your background with us?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today. So I'm Joaquín Alviz. I'm the COO of a company called Renacen. It's a Spanish company. We are very specialized in integrating 3D, WebVR and WebXR into the airline industry in different levels. From my background, I'm a telecommunication engineer, but I also have an MBA, so all my career has been very focused on the management more than in the technical part, but I still have a strong technical background. So yeah, very, very nice to be here with you today.
Cool. Thank you so much. And can you tell a little bit about what's your journey of being where you are today?
Yeah, so my starters, I started working in the public university in Madrid, the Politecnica, which is one of the main universities in Madrid, where I have been always very focused on the management of different technological projects. After that, I moved to a smartphone manufacturer in Spain, and after that, after 3 years, I entered my company, which is Renacen, as I said, which is a company that was founded in 2011, providing IT services for other very big companies like Accenture, Indra, Telefonica, which are very strong IT companies. And then since 2017, we started creating our own technology, very focused on the airline industry using 3D and VR to improve the passenger experience and to allow people to really be able to have a try before you buy experience when you are selecting your seats in a traditional seat map. When you are booking your seats, you really don't have much information about the seat that you are booking. You just know where it is in the plane. But there are a lot of things that you can know about your seat that makes have an impact on your decision. So we provide immersive photorealistic views from the position of every single seat in the airline fleet, and to help the customer make a more educated decision, and also to help the airlines sell more special seats, extra leg room, upgrades, etc. So I have been always moving between management and technical, always loving 3D and VR. I am a 3D enthusiast and a gamer myself. So this project really brings together many of the things that I love.
Yeah, you just mentioned that try before you buy. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, for example, like how this apply to like a airline
Yeah.
kind of like a booking experience?
Yeah, so we always use the example like when you are booking maybe an apartment and you are using Airbnb.
Oh, yes.
In Airbnb, you are seeing the pictures, right?
Yes.
But you are not seeing the plan of the house
You
because
probably see a couple of images and a lot of people's comments.
Yeah, exactly. So we thought many times you book an airline ticket that is even more expensive than an Airbnb booking, but you don't have good information, or maybe you have to go to different channels, different websites to be able to understand a little bit better how your seat is going to be. So we wanted to integrate everything, all the information in a very visual way into the airline's digital channel. So we are talking about the airline's website, native app, and web app for smartphones in the different touch points. So we have virtual tours that we can integrate into the content pages, like the typical, the our fleet page where you can check information about their fleet, and also in the transactional flows, which will be the booking, checking, and manage your booking parts of the user experience or the user path with the relationship with the airlines. Okay, so this is the perfect way to really understand what you're going to pay for, because you can really see every single detail of your seat. So the position, obviously, but you will be able to see if you have a window, where the window is, the leg room that you have, if you have an entertainment screen, if you have a USB port. So every single detail that you can think of,
Hmm.
we represent it in a very, very photorealistic way.
Mm. Yeah, because I think of images speak more than 1,000 words. So if you
Yeah,
see it, if you experience it, you don't have to have a lot of descriptions describe
yeah,
it. So yeah, so definitely, for example, Airbnb, if in the future there are some 360 and just to put people inside the space and you can navigate around or wherever you are and you can experience more and you can definitely understand more. And
yes,
same as the airline experience. And
yes.
for example, like do you see like the kind of like the entire flow process and versus what's the kind of customer behavior? What do they like it? For example, when we choose when I pick the seat on the airline, I usually just imagine I saw, oh, there's window and there's aisle. And I always think about how big is the aisle or how big is in between. So I was trying to find a place where I can get the most space. But
Yeah.
if you put people inside that VR or like a WebXR experience, people can immediately know, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we say don't speak machine and speak human. So
Mm,
provide the information in a visual way so that you don't need to imagine how it's going to be. You just will see how it's going to
mm.
be.
Yeah, so as for, I mean, the efficiency and also the, I would say, profit level,
Mhm.
do you see like a customer satisfaction or the booking rate or the some people just regret and changing or for example later on changing back.
Mm.
What types of like numbers speaks the
Mhm.
or the data speaks that your strategy is successful?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. And on the one hand, you have the impact on the user
Yeah, like the
experience.
measurement. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a different KPIs that you can track
Hmm,
and measure.
hmm,
Usually the conversions,
hmm,
the conversion rate,
hmm,
the revenue per conversion,
hmm,
the interaction, the
hmm,
time that the user is spending on the website. So there are a lot of things that you can track,
hmm.
and all of them are very positive. So we
Oh,
see
yeah.
that the user really like to interact with this technology.
Yes.
So I don't know, for example, in Emirates landing
Hmm,
page, we
hmm,
have this technology integrated in different points, and in
hmm,
one of those content pages,
hmm,
our component, so
hmm,
the 3D view is the most interactive component in this website. So
hmm,
you really understand that the people love to have the visual content,
hmm,
and then the KPIs are really good in terms of conversion and revenue per conversion. So it impacts very positive
hmm,
in the airlines numbers,
hmm,
and also in the passenger satisfaction, because we are also bringing down the complaints related to seat selection
hmm.
to almost zero,
Yeah.
because now you can really manage the expectation of the passengers in a very, very, I would say, efficient way,
Hmm.
because now they can see what they are going to pay for. So complaining about it later is much more difficult when you have
Yeah.
had the best information available. So no, so it's a whole thing that is impacting in the user experience.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like the training uh, for airline? For example, before COVID, we used more like a in-person traditional training and
Hmm.
versus WebXR types of like the technology changed the training.
Hmm. Yeah, COVID has had a great impact in all the industry. The aviation industry has been hit very hard by COVID.
Mm.
Most of the airlines had their fleet parked on the ground,
Hmm.
no flying, so it
Yeah.
also impacted obviously in all the different vendors like our company
Hmm.
providing service to the airlines.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that after COVID,
Hmm.
they have recovered very, very quickly and in an incredible way. And the training is one of the things that obviously is changing, but probably not not that much because of the COVID, but because of the technology. So, for example, the COVID has impacted in the sense that now people want to see their personal space in a more visual way than before. They want to know if they are going to be in a crowded space, in a very, very limited space, because they don't feel maybe as safe as in a bigger space. And before COVID, we didn't really think about that. Okay,
Yes.
but in the training, it's more related to a cost reasons probably because when you integrate virtual reality into the training, what you get is a very very efficient uh, cost management because training with traditional methods means having different mock-ups of the aircraft in a physical infrastructure, and it's very very expensive. It can be even dangerous sometimes. It's very slow when you need to have thousands of people going through the training in in a regular way every single day in the big airlines. Every single day they have the crew going through the training because tomorrow it will be a different crew, and the day after tomorrow it will be a different crew. So
Oh.
they are thousands of people going through the training, and maybe they have, I don't know, two emergency exit simulators,
Oh.
the physical, physical simulator, and you need to go through that every single person. So when you integrate virtual reality into this, you can have a room with, I don't know, 50 MetaQuest 3 headsets,
Yeah.
for example,
Hmm.
and have batches of 50 people going through it
Oh.
almost in a 24/7,
Yeah. Right.
So it is just an incredible, efficient way of working for them.
Yeah.
Um, but the regulation in the aviation industry is very strict, obviously. So there are some things that you cannot replace for virtual reality, but you can complement.
Yeah.
So, for example, this example of the emergency exits operation,
Hmm.
at least one time, for example, you need the people to go through the real mock-up, so the physical mock-up,
Oh.
because you need to have a sense of the of how heavy the door is to operate, how hard you have to pull a trigger. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you need to have this physical knowledge, at least for the first time,
Yeah.
and then you can go probably 2, 3, 4 years later. You can refresh with virtual reality training until you need to go again through the physical training. So it's a complement. Many times it cannot substitute the physical training, but it's a real cool and efficient complement.
Mm. Wow. So I think for the airline training, first, it's there are a lot of people need to be
Yeah,
trained, and their time are all different, and there are different crews. For example, like
yeah,
yeah, it's very hard to get like be efficient.
yeah.
WebXR or like the virtual reality really helps them. And also we talk about like a WebXR, right? And so far, I can tell you that I mean I'm a teacher, and so far I'm teaching Niantic Studio. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
WebXR, but it's pretty new. I find out that the thing about WebXR is for sure that it highly rely on Wi-Fi, which sometimes if the Wi-Fi is not good, then it just not showing or yeah. And also for example like when people start using their phone and start using their 2D and also headset trying to access it, and I find out that the controller issue
Mm.
like for example like tapping, grabbing, a lot of things are not unified. How do
Mhm.
you see this types of I would say standalone experience? Because I know there are all pros and cons. And how do you see right now, and what's the future
Mhm.
to unify all those or make a better experience for WebXR?
Well, for us, the standalone applications are still the optimal uh, solution, probably, for most of the use cases. Okay.
Mm,
For training, you
mm,
can achieve a very high quality level in terms of the graphics
mm.
and an amazing interactivity, especially now with the hand tracking
Yeah.
and also with the pass-through
Mm,
so that you can really see your
yeah.
surroundings, your real surroundings,
Yeah.
and you don't get lost, and it helps the user.
Huh.
So for us, it's amazing what you can do today with standalone applications.
Mm,
We have had a few experiences with other techniques like pixel streaming,
mm,
cloud GPU streaming,
mm,
kind of Google Stadia if you want. Okay, so the streaming coming from the cloud,
mm,
an interactive video streaming that you can play. So
mm,
it's like an interactive video game coming from the cloud. And the experience has not been really good for us
mm,
because of the lag. So the different times. Even if you have a lag of I don't know 100 milliseconds,
mm.
using it in a desktop is not good, but using it in a headset is horrible. So in a headset, you need to have a very, very low latency. Otherwise,
Yes.
yeah, you just don't want to use it.
Yes.
That's one thing. And the other one is the cost, because the
Yes.
cost in terms of the servers that you
Huh.
need in the cloud for the GPU
Yeah.
processing
Mm,
is really, really expensive.
yeah.
Uh, if you want to go to the big mass of people, to
Mm,
1,000 of people using the app at the same time, it's
mm,
just impossible unless you want to spend, I don't know, $50,000 per month in
mm,
servers, something like that.
mm,
So for us, it's a very particular use case today, but maybe in the future when the cost is lower and hopefully the latency of the networks is better,
mm,
it will be a more feasible option,
mm,
but not for today. We have performed some user experience testing
mm,
with a Dubai-based company, which is
mm,
called Digital of Things. They are great performing testing on users,
mm,
comparing a WebVR solution with a cloud GPU solution.
mm.
And like 70% of the people prefer the WebVR solution because
Oh,
it's
okay.
just more straightforward.
Mm,
It works better. It's cheaper. Everything is better.
mm,
So it's depending on the use case. But for me today, I prefer standalone application of
mm.
web VR developments compared to cloud GPU solutions.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so what do you see like in the future? I know there are a lot of like kind of nonprofit organization trying to do like the for example, I use like a Unity to do the development and they have new inputs and all inputs. All inputs is more standalone and new inputs is bundle, right? You bundle this, you bundle that. And I personally think that those like a new inputs is personally I think very hard to use because there are so many things that you need to bundle in one certain behaviors. It's a little hard for a developer, but I would say that what do you see that the entire like a trend? Do you see? Because people said that WebXR in the past, like it's the new metaverse. What do you see this types of like a you see like a website you can always access and use different device, but also because of the tech issues, the
Mhm.
experience might not be good. But standalone, it seems like a standalone. If you see a lot of different companies, they kind of use both. For example, you can do the collaboration, but you need to download a certain like an app. What do you see these types of like a switching between more like
Mhm.
a cloud powering versus more like a standalone?
Mhm. I prefer the web solutions whenever is possible.
Hmm,
I prefer avoiding the user to download any app.
hmm,
In fact, our 3D Sigma solution,
hmm,
we integrate into the airlines booking, checking, etc. And
hmm.
you don't need to download anything to enjoy
Yeah,
the 3D immersive views. So
yeah,
it's all right there. You don't need even to
yeah,
download a plugin, nothing at all.
yeah,
When
right.
you are talking about metaverse experiences and metaverse apps,
Hmm,
for me, it's the same. I prefer always, when possible, the
Yeah.
web solutions
Hmm.
because they are usually device agnostic, so you
Hmm.
can use it everywhere in any kind of devices, even in the in the touch screen of my Tesla. I can log into the spatial.io, for example.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really depend on the device or where you are.
Hmm.
Obviously, when you are using applications that you can download into your desktop and install, probably they will be making a better use of your GPU.
Hmm.
But then again, most of the people don't have a high-end GPU at home. I have
Hmm.
one because I am a gamer,
Hmm.
but most of the people have regular laptops, I
Yeah.
think. You don't want to be messing around with configuration and Windows firewall messages and things like that.
Hmm.
Just give the user a website
Hmm.
because probably uh, the little strong points that an application will have,
Hmm.
uh, they are not really worth it for the average user
Hmm.
compared to so how easy it is to just enter a website
Hmm.
and enjoy an application. Obviously, the app must be programmed in the most efficient way.
Hmm.
And obviously, the web experience must be programmed in the most efficient way.
Hmm.
You were talking about Unity, you were talking
Yeah.
about the bundle solutions. Yeah,
Yeah.
the creators of these platforms like Unreal Engine, for example, they are
Oh.
trying to make the programming as easy as possible for
Hmm.
the programmer. They have the what they call the blueprints,
Oh,
where
blueprint.
you
Hmm.
can, yeah, it's like you are linking little boxes
Hmm.
to program the logic of your application. Like, you have input, so you
Hmm.
take the input and put it into a, I don't know, a question or comparison, and then this happen and blah blah blah. Just linking boxes. Okay,
Hmm.
it's good for a basic use, but if you want to make an
Yeah.
application that is really good, you need to know how to program
Yeah, I
in C, C
personally,
sharp, etc.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think for those like I call it noodle nuts, like all those nuts. The good thing about programming is that you can ask ChatGPT and come up with the code and very customized, and you copy and paste. In like mine is I am more design background, so for me when I coding, I normally I understand some basic, but
Mhm.
you want me to code out of my brain, or I feel like it costs a lot of memory to remember all the syntax. So I normally do this. The thing about the NAS is that I couldn't just ask ChatGPT to create NAS and copy and paste in.
Yeah.
But for coding, it's easier. So that's why I prefer coding. It's just
Yeah.
for me to easy to make a command for AI. That's me. But I know
Yeah,
some
no,
people
totally.
like it not NAS. Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
Cool. Yeah. So, what do you see the future of WebXR in aviation? For example, like right now, we know that the kind of like the experience might be not good according to if people want to use cross device, and also
Mhm.
the rendering might not be good. But what do you see like what's the I would say what will be the change for the next 5 to 10 years where WebXR in like aviation becomes more mainstream, or you think more like a standalone or the mix? Because I saw a lot of the kind of apps they have both.
Yeah, I think that the mix is the way to go. We will be seeing different solutions depending on the channel and the purpose that they want to achieve with the
Hmm.
solution.
Yeah.
Like, for example, for training, they will be using headset with standalone application.
Hmm.
And we know for a fact that some airlines are basing it in cloud GPU technology.
Hmm.
Not my favorite technology, as I said. But in this way, you can probably complement this with web experiences. But the
Hmm.
main use for training is going to be probably standalone applications.
Hmm.
But you know, talking about aviation is so huge, and it has so many different uses for the WebXR that you can talk about marketing, for example. How I
Yeah.
see it in marketing.
Hmm.
Well, in marketing, I think it's an incredible opportunity to create marketing material, still images, videos, promotional videos, etc., in a very, very efficient way when you are working with video game technology compared to traditional rendering. So that's one use, but also for marketing, you can also create metaverse experiences. Like you are going to launch a new cabin and you want to make a buzz in the press and in the industry. You want to create this kind of experiences. Or you're going to open a new pop-up store or a new flagship store in your city. You want to create an amazing experiences and create it in the metaverse. Probably you will be bringing a VR headset to the store to complement the experience of the user. So it's a mix of very different use cases. Of course, for us, the web experience is very, very important because it's probably the only way to get to most of your users. So we are talking about, being compatible with 99.9% of the users going through your booking engine.
Yeah.
Compared to the user that have a MetaQuest 3 headset at home, which is a very, very small part of your user. So you need to have a web component, a very good web experience with 3D and VR, and then you can complement with different use cases like headset and so.
Yeah, I think WebXR really, the accessibilities on web really helps to reach the majority of people because
Yeah,
people might have their phone and people might have computer at home, but not many people has the headset, even though
exactly.
Meta
Yeah.
is trying to push the Quest 3S, which reduce some price.
Yeah.
However, I personally think that VR is or like XR. Before I interview some people, for example, Charlie Fink, and I asked him like, "What do you see about like a VR in entertainment?" And he mentioned that, "Oh, it's just a genre. It's
Yeah.
more like it's just a, for example, like a multimedia, like a genre. It won't replace anything." So I think I know the Orion, the new AR glass.
Yeah.
It's it's not released yet, and people keep thinking, "Wow, this is great." I think Meta right now is learning from Apple. I am
Yeah.
telling you that I'm going to release Vision Pro, and everybody is talking about it, and nobody really see it. Something more along the line with that, so they can keep their stock
Mm.
high and also give some confidence for the investors. So I think this is a great kind of strategy.
Mm.
And what do you see those types of like Orion Smart AR glass, those, and you see like spectacles from Snapchat they've already launched it, and I really think that wow, that gray glass shouldn't just tie to the Snapchat app. I feel like that can
Yeah.
do a lot of things, but unfortunately, it's tied to the business streamline.
Yeah,
What
and
do
you
you?
have privacy problems, issues, and
Yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky, yeah.
yeah,
I think that the device is amazing.
hmm,
I am really looking forward to trying it myself,
hmm,
and probably it can be a game changer.
hmm,
The Apple Vision Pro is great, but it's at the end of the day, it's the first product of a new generation of products.
hmm,
So Apple Vision Pro per se is
hmm,
not probably the the final product for this because it's heavy. You need to have it attached to the battery in your pocket, etc. So it's not the best,
hmm,
but the result is really, really good. If you can get a kind of that result, probably not with the same quality and so, but in a much more wearable device, the impact will be awesome. Even especially if you get the price down because the Apple Vision Pro is very expensive. So if you can get a device, with a good balance between specifications and price,
hmm,
it can be a game changing.
hmm,
If we can find a way to fix all the issues related to the privacy, the personal privacy, and so, which obviously is it's very, very important.
hmm.
But I think the device is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the future, and according to what Mark Zuckerberg mentioned, that the new AI AR glass will be the new iPhone, right? People will get rid of iPhone and use that device. I mean, so far I am happy about I don't need to wear glass because before I wear glass, but I did surgery, so I right now I don't need to
And you
wear
don't want to
glass.
go back to the glasses.
I don't want to go back to the glasses. I feel like, for example, if I eat like noodles and it just become blurry, and why? I mean, I feel like it's so comfortable without
Yeah,
glasses. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I don't really need overload information. And actually, when I feel relaxed, is that um, I go out, for example, hiking or go out for a walk, get into the nature instead of get more digital stuff and trying to
Yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
me relax. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Totally
yeah.
agree.
Cool. And also for our audience, we had a lot of creators such as designer, developers in XR field or AI field. What do
Mhm.
you see? Because right now you see there are a lot of layoff, right? The
Yeah.
interesting thing is that the company, you can see a lot of big companies, their stock price soar and they got a lot of profit, but they keep laying off people. And the people who are building the technology, how do you see these types of trend? And for example, I also teaching at college.
Mhm.
What do you see those, for example, what's the advice you would give to the future builders or building
Mhm.
this technology, like developers, designers? What's the advice for them?
Yeah. So for designers, I will say that having a broad spectrum of different tools that you can use and don't close yourself to one platform. I don't know, like for example, if you are really, really good in 3D modeling using 3D Max, 3D Studio,
Mm,
3D Max, try to also learn about Maya
mm,
and also learn about Zebras and also learn about Blender, which is open source and it's amazing.
mm,
So don't restrain yourself to one platform and keep an open minded. And also, if you can, try to go one step further and learn about video game technology. So you are very good in 3D modeling. So what about learning about Unreal Engine, for example? Because it will create a profile that is really hard to find today.
mm,
So usually you can find experts in video game technology
mm,
or experts in 3D modeling,
mm,
but it's really hard to get a person that knows about those two worlds. So
mm,
that would be one advice. And for developers, I would say probably always keep an eye on the artificial intelligence
mm,
because those are going to be roles very demanded.
mm,
I'm not talking specifically about the aviation industry because it's a very special industry in many ways. But overall, the artificial intelligence is taking the leading role in many companies because it's a huge tool to
mm,
improve the efficiency in operations in many fields.
mm.
So always keep an eye on that.
Mm. So for the designers or 3D modelers, you encourage them to learn more different platforms and
Yeah,
also potentially learn Unreal, learn programming. And for developers, you encourage them to learn AI for more
yeah,
like an integration. And as far as I know, there are a lot of kind of chat bot. They've already or like a GitHub, they have like a GitHub Copilot. So a lot of code is being generated. I mean, I understand that developers are so important for any technology, um, like a development. And for me, right now, I personally think a lot of really basic stuff I mean, junior developer can
yeah,
definitely be I don't want to say replace, but ChatGPT's level is pretty much can generate a lot of entry levels coding job. And for example, like for my students right now, I'm teaching like a coding for artists for community college. Within 6 weeks, I teach them how to ask ChatGPT to kind of co-write the code. But before that, I teach them like the basics, but I
hmm,
allow them to use code and they will be able to create some really high polished game within 6 weeks without prior any coding language. So
Mm.
I start feeling like, wow, then it becomes like everybody becomes the developer. And how do you see what's the next level? Because I find out that coding becomes easier and easier. And I haven't used Unity 6, but I learned that it's very easy for people. The interface is very easy. So before it's similar to for example, like a few days ago, I joined like one of more like a school meeting.
Mm.
People like teachers, um, I would say school are usually the very slow catch up pet. I would say institution that is very behind the technology. So a lot of
Mm.
teacher ask like, "Hey, what if student use AI and they cheat?" And I was like, "Cheat." Now people start using like, "Oh, what if my assignment?" Because probably teacher use the same assignment for past 20 years, right? And now still
Yeah.
use the same thing. And for me, I just feel like the education from the standpoint of a teacher, we probably need to teach something else. And what do you
Yeah.
see like the entire school system? Because you see like right now people like you write a paper and grading, and now students just copy and paste from ChatGPT. What do you see the entire school like
Mm.
structure? I mean, it's just my personal question.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think there's one thing I don't know in English, but it's called the Pareto principle,
Hmm,
which basically it says that with mostly with the 20% of your resources,
hmm,
you will get the 80% of the impact.
hmm,
But to get the rest of the 20% of the impact, you have to work on the 80% of your resources. So it's easy to get the big majority of your outcome.
hmm,
But if you want the full total perfection of your outcome,
hmm,
it's almost logarithmical complicated. You
hmm,
have to put so much effort only to get a 20% more of the perfection. Okay.
hmm,
So it's kind of like that. So probably with ChatGPT, you can get like the 80% of the impact of your app. So 80% of the functionalities, 80% of mostly everything that you want it to do. But the 20% remaining, that's fine tuning that you really need to create a real amazing experience.
hmm,
It will get a much deeper knowledge about programming.
hmm,
And probably you will not be able to do it just with ChatGPT.
hmm,
But then you will learn how to do it and you will become a great programmer, a
hmm,
great developer
hmm,
who knows how to use ChatGPT to achieve the 100% result. Okay.
hmm,
But ChatGPT will not give you the 100%, I
hmm.
would say, perfection
Yes.
of the app if you really want to be good at your work, obviously.
Hmm,
It's like, I don't know, it's like asking Alexa to make tell you a cooking recipe for any kind of plate that you want. They can tell you how you do it, but
hmm,
you are the chef.
hmm.
So,
Yeah.
if you just follow the step one by one, you will create a replica of that. But you will not become a five-star chef just by
Hmm.
following those steps. It requires a human effort behind it.
Hmm. So you mentioned that pretty much AI can only achieve the mediocre level. If you want to make your work perfect, you still need to have the expertise. For example, like I usually tell my student, instead of following the AI direction and be the slave executing it, you are directing the AI to execute it instead
Hmm.
of you are just following the step without knowing what's going on.
Yeah,
So that's also what
exactly.
teacher can teach, because right now there are a lot of like debates in education sectors that everybody students are using AI. How can we catch they are cheating? And I was like, maybe I don't know. For me, is that before we were teaching student code, right? Like a for loop, or like
Mm,
yeah, all those like a basic stuff. But maybe because for me it's more like oh, before I'm teaching you how to be a labor, now I'm teaching you how to be a boss. I'm
yeah,
teaching you how to publish a game. So maybe teach student to increase 100% times of the difficulties and
yeah.
force them to work with AI instead of teaching them the basic and trying to compete your student with AI. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We have always had platforms in the internet where you can enter and ask for question about development. We all
Mm,
know them. It's like a Stack Overflow.
mm,
So, we always have had the kind of developers that just went into Stack Overflow, copied the
yeah.
answer, and
Yeah,
put it into their development.
I
Yeah,
did it all the
and
time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's not new. It's just a different interface, but it's mostly the same. But then
Yeah.
again, we have also developers that go into Stack Overflow, ask a question, get the answer, think about it, and improve it in their code, and they know what they need to ask,
Mm,
how to interpret the answer that they gave,
mm,
and then put it into their code. So with
mm,
the AI, it's going to be the same. You are making prompts,
mm.
and then you get responses, but
Yeah.
it's up to you to really integrate them into the code, to really know what you need to ask. And
Mm,
so it's just a different interface, more powerful, obviously,
mm.
but it's just a helper.
Yeah, yeah. I think for the future students, they will be, I think they need to learn more
Yeah.
than us. I remember when I after graduate from the college, if you know, for example, Adobe Suite, right, graphic designer, you can survive for years, right? You can open your agency, but now if you see the graphic designer, pretty much all the AI tools replace that. So they become UX designer, and UX designer, you can see all the AI tools. You type
Yeah.
something and they create an app for you. And
Yeah.
becomes like a more like a 3D and also like a developer. I find out that AI is keep chasing these types of like a, I would say labor tools,
Hmm.
like even white column, like those types of labor. So what do you see like for example, like students, do you suggest them to start their own business or trying to
Hmm.
get in a job or join hackathon? What do you see like for the anxious
Hmm.
Gen Z? What's the advice if they are about to graduate?
I would recommend finding a job. I don't recommend starting your own company from the very beginning,
Hmm.
because starting your own company is always going to be hard. But
Hmm.
if it's the first thing that you do, it's going to be much harder, because
Hmm.
you need to learn a lot of things because before starting your own company.
Hmm.
And it's better to learn those things when you are working for another, because the
Yeah.
failures will not impact you just the same.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
start learning when you are working in a company,
Hmm.
which is a great way to learn, and they know it. When they hire you as a junior, they expect you to fail. There is nothing wrong with that, okay? Because otherwise you will be a senior, and even
Hmm.
a senior can fail, obviously.
Hmm.
So just go with a junior role in a company
Hmm.
and learn. And if you think and you feel that starting your own company is something that you want to do, then go for it. Not everybody wants to do it, and it's perfectly fine.
Hmm.
You need many things to do it. You need a personal situation that allows you to do it, or at least that doesn't complicate you too much. You need, some support many times. You need an idea. You need a team. If you can have a team with you, it's going to be easier.
Hmm.
So you need the situation to start, but until then,
Hmm.
work for another, I will say.
Yeah, yeah, I think that makes sense because it's just, I mean, like this types of like entrepreneurship is great, and I would say the majority of things that I learned from my failure. So you probably need to start somewhere
Yeah,
less and start learning. And I usually think that everybody eventually, because according to some big like a investors in Silicon Valley, they start giving some messages for
Mm.
what's the future. For example, like expertise will become free, right?
Yeah.
For example, like today I just read a news that Harvard MBA. Before people thinks that, oh wow, Harvard MBA or like those types of schools will allow them to become the person who manage
Yeah.
the rich people's money or become the top of the company. However, a lot of big companies such as Goldman Sachs or some like a financial firms, they start
Mm.
creating some chatbots to start analyzing and give some advice for
Yeah.
the people the clients kind of financial projections. So yeah, so I personally think this era is very interesting. We are following our original thoughts about, oh, you get in a school and get a best score and start becoming, like a get a degree or something. But now it becomes that, oh wow, the big company can use like a chatbot
Yeah.
to do things. So learning different things, be adaptable is definitely great. I just right now I'm still looking for some, for example, like some advice for my student, because just like you said, that entry level job is great. Student need to get entry level, but now there's no entry level. Every job requires like a more like a senior designer and developers battle. So yeah, so that's why I was still thinking about, wow, what can
Mm.
creator do, or maybe doing something else, or I don't know. I'm still learning it.
Yeah, yeah, it's complicated, of course. There are many startups out there looking for people to join them and looking for junior
Hmm.
roles, and
Hmm.
it's a great way to start working with usually a very motivated group of people.
Hmm.
So, looking for startups, it's always something that I recommend.
Yeah, yeah. I think startups usually the
Yeah,
kind of like the people junior levels first job. So I believe there will be a lot of startups, more
yeah,
and
yeah,
more,
yeah,
because
totally.
senior people got laid off and they want to create something, and then they will start their startup, then they will start hiring
Yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah,
So I think there is still some chains, but everybody needs to be more like a very versatile, like, oh, I
yeah.
know coding, I know design, I know everything. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
find out that
Or they need to lie in their resume with
right there for something. Yeah, yeah, cool. And yeah, I think we are come to the end of the interview. Do you have any like a last thoughts or types of things you want to mention for our audience?
Yeah, I would say just keep an open mind
Hmm.
in all the ways that you can, in terms of technology, in terms of platform, in terms of the kind of jobs that you can do with your background. It's something, I think, from my point of view, is something very cultural. And as I understand, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, probably in the United States, people is very used to be very, let's say, um,
High
very
level.
strict. Yeah, no, it's like when you have your job descriptions,
Huh.
you are very into that job descriptions.
Yeah.
You don't want to go out of there,
Yeah.
and it's fine. In Spain, probably it's very very different. So you have
Huh.
your job description, but you expect to be making different things, and I
Hmm.
think it's not bad
Hmm.
uh, per se, because it can help you learn different things that you didn't even expect,
Hmm.
and that will make you a very like complete individual in many many ways. And it's not only about technology or just knowledge. It's about social skills, or it's
Hmm.
about how to make a presentation, how to make a pitch.
Hmm.
Those kind of details are very very important. Like for us, when we are hiring people in the company, we look for people that seems like they are alive. You don't want to bring a person that doesn't know how to interact with other people many times.
Hmm.
So social skills are very important. And for that,
Yeah.
you have to keep an open mind in your job and in your life in general.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think social skills and especially EQ and the work in a team, I
Yeah.
think that's very important
Yeah.
because I think even though AI is very, I would say, handy and very, I would say, has tons of knowledge. And just like you said, it's probably only solve 80% or just
Hmm.
come up with a mediocre solution. If you want to
Hmm.
have an expertise, you still need to add that 20% on top of it. So there are still a lot to learn and more to learn. And everybody needs to be, I would say, probably know everything in general, but there's the one specialties
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is pop up. So I think we have more to learn and more to like improve ourselves. And I would say right now the entire society is totally changing. I feel like, I mean, I was from design background and I become a developer and later on I become an educator. So I feel like my like a
Yeah.
personal trajectory is keep changing.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. It's like pivot all the time.
Yeah, right. We just keep changing and see
Yeah. Yeah.
what the world needs us, what types of skills they need
Exactly.
from us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Totally.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoyed this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you and see you next time.